The Odisha government has banned entry of journalists in government schools in at least 2 districts of Dhenkanal and Kendrapara, triggering a major controversy. The decision was taken after a journalist entered one of the schools and filmed teachers and students of 5th standard being unable to solve simple mathematics involving multiplication tables. The video was then widely aired by news channels, bringing embarrassment to the school. Following this incident, the district education officers issued circulars banning unauthorized entry of journalists into schools and classrooms, and also direction to report such matters to the police. Different journalist associations in the state opposed the move, demanding its rollback. Let me go across to my colleague Apeksha, who will take us through what exactly the government order says. Apeksha, I believe we have accessed that letter which was circulated to the district officers to ensure implementation of this sort of journalist ban, as it were. Take us through the latest, please.
That's right, Afrida. This letter has been written by the block district education, the center, to all the government schools, the principals as well as the officers, and they're highlighting some very important and major points over here. They say that, first of all, this incident is regrettable. The fact that journalists entered the school premises, more specifically the classrooms. Then they're going on to say that this particular entry was without any permission. Now, remember, in the state of Odisha, there is no need really for journalists to take entry in order to enter either the government offices or the premises. So that is one of the very few states that allows unhindered access to journalists. So it's quite shocking that we're seeing this kind of a move coming in from the state government. And the letter then goes on to say that the teachers and the students were questioned by the journalists. Now, see the kind of words that the government is using here, that they were not spoken to. It was not a casual conversation, but rather they were questioned by this particular journalist. Then the letter further goes on to say that this act was purposely done in order to humiliate the teachers as well as students. The TV channels then remember, because this video then went viral on social media, then it was picked up by a few television channels and it was widely aired, because remember, this is a contentious issue. The fact that in government schools children cannot do basic maths. Forget the children, even teachers who are teaching them cannot do basic, plain simple maths. So that again becomes a big issue. Then the government then goes on to say that such videos are not permissible and are illegal, and hence no media person now onwards should be allowed in the school premises. In fact, they've also gone on to say that in case such a thing happens, then the issue should be reported to the police, and they've urged the police to actually go ahead and file an FIR against the journalists. So that is the kind of crackdown, Afrida, that we're looking at.
Thanks, Apeksha, for joining us. And let's now welcome on the program Mr. Jajati Karan, Editor-in-Chief of Omcom, one of the very well-known journalists in Odisha. Jajati Karan, thank you. Very warm welcome to the Big Focus. Thanks for joining us. I want to begin by asking you, as a journalist, how do you feel about this? This is Mr. Patnaik's government in Odisha. I thought least expected of him. Like my colleague said, there's unhindered access in most other government offices. Why schools are made an exception? And the fact is that, learning loss after pandemic, these are matters of research for a number of journalists. So if a certain important aspect is being probed or is being understood by a journalist as to what a 5th standard student should be learning, why has that become a crime?
Well, when this controversial letter came out, and that was outrage in the media, and especially among the opposition political parties and the media fraternity, the Odisha government seems to have made a U-turn, and the latest development is that the district collector has come out with a statement and has made some sort of a U-turn, saying that they haven't told that the journalist cannot enter into the school premises. They have told that they shouldn't enter into the school premises when the classes are going on. They are allowed to come in after the classes are over. So this is the clarification they are trying to give. But as we see, the letter clearly states that journalists are not allowed.
Yes.
And if they try to get in, an FIR should be lodged. Let me give a perspective to why this controversy has arisen. And an officer of the level of district education officer cannot give this instruction in the district unless he has had an order from the top in the government. This
Okay.
is, it is important to understand that the Odisha government has taken the Mo School Abhiyan. It's an ambitious project of the Naveen Patnaik government in his fifth term. And in 2017, they had started this Mo School Abhiyan, in which they are transforming the entire government schools in Odisha, and they have done it quite successfully. Of the 61,000 odd government schools in Odisha, they have virtually transformed more than 50,000 odd schools so far, and they're targeting to transform all the government schools by the end of this financial year. So this is
Okay.
quite an Herculean task which they have quite successfully achieved. Now, of the remaining schools which where the transformation has not taken place, the media is quite obviously it's their duty that they are going to those places and locate the lacuna and the lack of education standards in those schools. When the media is trying to highlight that, the government is not taking it in the right spirit, and they want to throttle their news gathering process by bringing out such ridiculous letters. So this is how we can see the perspective of the Odisha government, because they believe that there are some media outfits which are being backed by political agenda, which
Yes.
are deliberately trying to bring out such issues in order to malign the government policies,
Rather,
which they
I
are
would
trying
say
to
Mr.
either
Patnaik should have
transform.
been grateful to the journalist in question, certain lacunae being exposed, and he's the kind of chief minister one would have imagined who would have welcomed it instead of showing this kind of paranoia. And not just paranoia, Jajatikaran, if you're saying that book those journalists, file an FR, it's really taking it too far, isn't it?
Exactly. This is, see, the government, remember, is not the duty of the journalists to highlight or to publicize the good work that the government has done. They can do it
Yes.
certainly, but primarily their objective is to bring out the lacuna. If of the 61,000 schools, if 50,000 schools are doing well and the 11,000 odds are still need to be improved,
Yes.
the focus of the media should be on those 11,000 left out, and not just to highlight what the good work has been done in the 50,000 odd schools. It's the job of the government to do welfare programs in the schools and other development projects. So to keep a grudge on the media and not to allow them to do their duty, it's something ridiculous which the government has realized, and they have it seems that they have withdrawn their circulation, which
Okay.
they had brought out as early as last evening.
So let's, for sake of clarity, Jajatikaran, if you can outline for us what exactly is the change after the last order that now journalists cannot enter classrooms without permission, but they can access school campuses. Is that correct?
Well, if you have to believe the collector, concerned district collector, he has clearly said that the media people are allowed inside the schools,
Okay.
but not when the classes are going on, so that the
Okay.
students don't feel disturbed. But this is something not in written. What we saw is that the notification quite clearly saying that if the journalist enters without permission, an FIR should be lodged against them, which is quite ridiculous. But
Absolutely.
that sort
Absolutely.
of clarification has not come out yet. It's only the verbal
Okay.
communication from the district collector only after there was big outrage after this news was published.
Yes, and are we're talking about how many districts really? Because we have reports from 2 districts where this circular was passed to the relevant officers. Is it only one particular district you're mentioning where this reversal of sorts or the clarification of sorts have come from?
Well, this reversal communication came from Dhenkanal district, where
Okay.
the notification came in. But I'm sure it cannot be district specific. The district education officer could have dared to give this notification only when he had got the clearance from the department. And the department must have given this to all the districts, and maybe many of them have hold it. And certainly after this controversy has emerged, many
Yes.
of them won't let it go out.
Yes, it is ridiculous, like you said, to restrict journalists, especially we are supposed to be watchdogs, like you said. We are supposed to question government policies. Education is a matter of huge priority. And the Odisha government, like you mentioned, is doing well in many quarters. The moment you focus on something that is not doing well, it cannot be a case made that you file FIRs against journalists. Thank you so much, Jajatikaran, for joining us in the program.